We cannot learn everything in history class. Some events are very strange occurrences that have been tagged as bizarre in the course of history. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for notifications. Today, we will be looking at 15 forbidden historical events shrouded in mystery that shocked the whole world. Let's dive in. Number 1. The Secret Revelations of Jesus. Archaeologists believe they have discovered what they think is Jesus' private revelations in an old Egyptian garbage dump. Among stacks of ancient tax receipts and invoices of the sale of donkeys from the 5th century, a rare manuscript was found. The first Apocalypse of James is a document from the New Testament that was never officially included in the Bible. Because of how it depicts Jesus, the story is regarded as a prohibited scripture. Whoever authored it portrayed Jesus as being more like an ordinary person than the Messiah. The passage claims that Jesus told them their world was a prison built by an evil god, as if they were inhabitants of some dreadful matrix. He said that demonic beings defended the world. He told the Archons that specific passwords were required to get past these demons and into the afterlife. You can certainly understand why this story was rejected for inclusion in the Bible. Number 2. Nephilim. The book of Genesis gives details about the Nephilim, or fallen angels. These angels roamed the earth as giants after they were expelled from heaven. Just 3 verses provide the entire narrative. People have always pondered the possibility that these Nephilim vanished, whether they roamed the planet and whether they were living things. Giants? Did they exist? There is no way to respond to this. However, there is a part of the tale you might not be familiar with. The account was enhanced in the manuscript that we know to be the Book of Enoch, which was probably composed in the 2nd century AD. A story about 200 angels plotting to kidnap humanity's most attractive wives was included, and the earth was tainted by their hunger for human women. God expelled them from heaven after they had taken the women, and they later evolved into the Nephilim. They were depraved and corrupted everyone on earth, teaching women magic spells and charms that made them into witches. They also instructed the soldiers in the use of metal to forge blades and swords for battle. Number 3. Long-haired kings. In the 5th century, a line of Frankish kings, known as the Merovingian dynasty, ruled over Dark Ages Europe. As a result of their custom of maintaining long flowing hair in the style of elven rulers, or, Aquaman, they were known as long-haired kings. Despite having a significant impact on the evolution of Europe, the Merovingians are a people that many have never heard of. After the fall of the Roman Empire, they vanished after 250 years when the Carolingian dynasty, in which the most famous leaders were Charlemagne, usurped them. They believed that after being crucified, Jesus Christ escaped and fled to present-day France, which was once the Kingdom of Francia. However, he didn't flee on his own. Instead, he and Mary Magdalene were in hiding. The two made their home there, gave birth to children, and their offspring are said to have grown up to become the mighty Merovingian rulers. Of course, there is no evidence to support this. What do you think about this debatable opinion? Do you believe it is possible? Number 4 will blow your mind. The ancient Olympic champion. One of the most renowned women of the ancient period was Caniska of Sparta, yet she has conveniently been omitted from history text. Caniska was a princess of Sparta, the sister of King Agesilaus, and the daughter of King Archidamus II. Additionally, she was the first woman to ever compete in the Olympics. According to historical evidence, Caniska competed in the Olympics in the year 396 BC, when she was most likely between the ages of 40 and 50. Caniska was so tough that she took part in a triathlon that involved chariot racing called tetherball. She triumphed in the games in 396 BC and 392 BC. What you'll discover online is in direct contrast with this. Almost all significant news outlets have reported that the first Olympic Games to accept female participants were held in Paris in 1900. Wrong. Sparta won twice over 2,000 years ago. Number 5. Neolithic Egypt. The great dynasty of what we currently refer to as Ancient Egypt started in the year 3100 BC. The era of the pharaohs as well as the pyramids began at this time. But what took place just before that? Experts estimate that Neolithic activity existed in Egypt about 6,000 years before the reign of the first pharaoh. These unidentified people's way of life and technological innovations were what allowed Egypt to develop into the sophisticated civilization we know today. However, who are these individuals, and how did any of this occur? Perhaps a more pressing concern is why it appears that conventional archaeologists have disregarded the Egyptian ancestors. The argument is that they haven't. They are making an effort, but it is very challenging. However, current research on 6 old graveyards may reveal some interesting information. The Western Desert is where the 6 most recent locations were discovered. And now for number 6. Valentine's Day's sinister past. Valentine's Day is recognized as the most romantic day of the year. However, the holiday's dark and ominous background is what drives the candy, roses, and romance-fueled day. Lupercalia was observed in ancient Rome from February 13th to February 15th. There was no romantic candlelight dinner or giving your lover flowers to celebrate the day. That is a far more modern Victorian style. It was more of a pagan event celebrated in ancient Rome that was driven by fire, lust, bloodshed, and animal sacrifice. Goats and a dog were first sacrificed in remembrance of the Wolf Mother who had raised the founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. The Luperci, a special group of priests responsible for organizing the festival, would remove the skins from animals by dipping their knives in blood before hitting the women to enhance fertility. They also adopted a lottery system for finding partners in which the males took the names of women from a jar. For the rest of the festival, these couples would be paired together regardless of their preferences. You might wonder, though, where the name Valentine originally came from. Well, it originated with a priest's execution on February 14th in the 3rd century. When the Roman Empire was Christian in the 5th century, a pope commanded the festival of Lupercalia to be forbidden and replaced with a more solemn, orderly celebration known as St. Valentine's Day. This man was recognized as a martyr by the Catholic Church, but many other Christian martyrs also went by the name Valentine. Number 7. Selinunte, the buried city. You probably haven't learned about it in history class, but something happened in ancient Greece 2,500 years ago. It took place in modern-day Sicily and was considered one of the biggest tragedies in ancient history. The buried city of Selinunte was unearthed by archaeologists, and they claim that the inhabitants were massacred there. Those who survived were captured as slaves by North African invaders in the 5th century BC. While historians have long understood what took place there, archaeologists have only recently had the opportunity to physically examine the remains of the tragedy. Most of the city had been abandoned and over thousands of years was covered by sand as the structures gradually sank into the earth. The city was once thriving and rich with a lovely seaport, an industrial area, and residential areas. Sad, isn't it? Number 8. The alien pharaoh Akhenaten. You might be shocked to hear about this, but no, aliens do not take over ancient Egypt and make a hybrid baby. The first pharaoh to change the religious beliefs of the entire kingdom of Egypt was the alien Akhenaten, who made his subjects give up other deities for Aten. During his nearly 17-year reign, he destroyed the statues of Amun and Mut and replaced them with those of sun disk god. Formerly Amenhotep IV, he adopted a new name and established a brand new metropolis in the desert called Amarna. Akhenaten was also known for his strangely alien-like appearance. He was shown to have enormous almond-shaped eyes, a tiny bulging abdomen, oddly thin limbs, and a considerably larger skull than any normal human would have. Egyptologists have wondered about this odd portrayal of the pharaoh, but it appears that he may have just had a serious physical defect and was concealing it. Some people believe that he was an alien-human hybrid whose mission was on Earth because of his appearance and DNA. Number 9. The Forbidden Zone of the Grand Canyon. Get ready to get your mind blown and your bubble popped. Numerous conflicts have also occurred at the Grand Canyon, and unfounded theories in recent years. A local Phoenix newspaper in Arizona published a story in 1909 claiming that archaeologists had found an Egyptian cave in the Grand Canyon. Since we are aware of no Egyptians ever arriving in North America, this is completely absurd. If confirmed, the discoveries of an Egyptian exploration group in America would completely alter the course of human history. When it was discovered that the cave contained Egyptian treasures, the reporters were astonished. At the time, it was alleged that the Smithsonian removed the cave's antiquities in around 40 full truckloads before erasing all traces of the presence of the Egyptians. Naturally, all of these allegations are refuted by the Smithsonian. They question why they would wish to remove evidence. No cave ever existed, no Egyptians ever traveled to North America centuries ago, and no intriguing artifacts were ever taken by them. In addition to all of these legends about the Grand Canyon's ancient origins, many of its geological formations have indeed been named after Egyptian and Hindu gods and temples, but no one truly knows who named them. In the Grand Canyon National Park, there is allegedly a restricted area that trekkers are not allowed to access. Some believe that the mystery is about a rogue tribe of Egyptians residing in the Grand Canyon that may be concealed in this restricted area. What do you believe? Number 10. Underground lizard people. It seems that California is home to underground lizard people. At least, that is what the Los Angeles County folklore and local mythology claim. The ancient Hopi people told a legend about the lizard people living beneath Los Angeles that dates back 5,000 years. They asserted that 3 enormous underground cities were constructed along the Pacific coast by a race of lizard people. One was located underneath Los Angeles, and it was unclear where the others were. The cities were reportedly constructed as a defense against horrific fires that were burning on the surface. The lizard people also were trapped in the burning state of California. But this is where the narrative becomes muddled. The Hopi tradition claims that these individuals weren't, in fact, reptilian lizards. The meaning of the story has undergone a significant alteration throughout time. Do you believe that ancient cities are buried beneath Los Angeles? Please share your thoughts in the comments section, and if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe. There will be a ton more videos soon. Number 11. The book Necronomicon. Possibly the evilest book was ever written, the Necronomicon never existed. The author of the work is H.P. Lovecraft. His cosmic horror tales. It later gained even more notoriety when it was employed to conjure terrifying demons in the Evil Dead movie. For all of us, however, there has never been such a book. However, other forbidden books date back to the Middle Ages and were intended to function similarly to the Necronomicon. The Grand Grimoire, for instance, is a book of dark magic that dates back to 1420. Nobody truly knows, however. Some scholars think it was composed in the 19th century as a ruse. It most certainly couldn't have been released after 1701. In any event, it includes texts that date back to King Solomon. There are instructions in the book on how to call Lucifer, make a pact with the devil, and manipulate lesser demons to do one. This is a very genuine book that you can use to try and call demons, unlike the Necronomicon. All the directions are there, but hopefully it won't work. Anyway, thank you for coming. Number 12. The long-forbidden place of worship. The Holy Temple, a pair of majestic buildings sitting atop the Temple Mount in the center of Jerusalem, was the most significant place of worship in Israel. The Holy Temple is where God will reside with His people, according to Scripture. The Holy Temple, however, no longer exists. It was destroyed during the conquest of Babylon in 587 BC, reconstructed, and then destroyed by the Romans in 72 AD. Tom Meyer from Shasta Bible College claims that Israel had a second, hidden temple during the time of the Holy Temple. It was cloaked in the Negev desert. Despite the temple rule, humans were breaking God's commandments, at least until King Josiah finally destroyed the Forbidden Temple in the 7th century BC, leaving nothing but rubble in its wake. Number 13. Devil worship in the Middle Ages. The Church established the Inquisition throughout the Middle Ages when women were persecuted as followers of Satan throughout all of Europe. Evil sorceresses. Although you are undoubtedly already aware of many of the crimes done by the Church to rid the world of what they believe to be the devil's brides, there is one historical fact you may not be aware of. According to scholars, as Rome and pagans' philosophy fell apart, the Church may have created the entire concept of demon worship. According to one version, to keep their control over groups of individuals they saw as heretics and ensure that Christianity was fully adopted by every single person in Europe, devil worship was developed. They made accusations and went looking for those they claim were involved. And owing to these measures, paganism was entirely eradicated. The Church strengthened its hold on the country, and its influence is still seen today. Number 14. Carthaginian sacrifices. archaeologists have found a wealth of evidence that the ancient civilization of Carthage and what is now North Africa existed and practiced something barbaric. The discovery is extremely astonishing because experts have vehemently rejected that the Carthaginians carried out this action for decades. However, Oxford University scholars have recently confirmed that parents in ancient Carthage offered their children as sacrifice to the gods. Ancient Roman and Greek texts claim that the Carthaginians murdered their children. Up until around 1970s, it was just something that everyone was aware of. At that time, academics challenged the theory, describing it as a racist propaganda. They claimed that it was something said to defame the Carthaginians by the Greeks and Romans. Number 15. Royal Harem of Imperial China. Many people were unaware of the fact that every emperor's harem had a hierarchy. The woman at the top was either the empress or his official wife. Then there were the consorts, ladies with higher status but no real power. The ones at the bottom were Ming period concubines. Every emperor between 1368 and 1644 staged a ceremony in the Forbidden City where he would select all of his favorite girls between the ages of 14 and 16. Here's the bit that might surprise you. These girls were essentially slaves. They would stay in the harem and provide for everyone. After his death, they were all collected and sacrificed, many being buried alive so that the emperor may enjoy them in the afterlife. That is all for this video. Were you shocked? I know I was. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon for more fantastic videos.